If you own a whole life insurance policy and you're not in a very specific financial situation, there's a reasonable chance you're paying 5 to 10 times more than you need to for life insurance and getting significantly less wealth building in return. Whole life insurance is one of the most aggressively sold financial products in America. It's also one of the most frequently wrong for the people who buy it. Before we dive in, 2 quick things. First, everything in this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. Always consult a qualified financial advisor before making any major money decisions. Second, this channel uses AI-generated voices and an AI avatar presenter for content creation. We believe in being upfront about that. All right, now let's get into it. Welcome to Compound Yield and Grow, where we cut through the noise on the financial products that cost people the most money. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing. We publish a new video every week, and every one is built to give you a clearer picture of your financial future. Now let's get into it. Term life insurance is exactly what it sounds like. You pay a premium for a defined term, 10, 20, or 30 years. And if you die during that term, your beneficiaries receive the death benefit. If you survive the term, the policy expires with no payout and no cash value. That sounds like a bad deal. It isn't. Here's why. The purpose of life insurance is income replacement. It protects the people who depend on your income if you die unexpectedly. When your dependents no longer depend on your income, when the kids are grown, the mortgage is paid, retirement savings are sufficient, you no longer need the same level of coverage. A 35-year-old in good health can typically get a 20-year, $1 million term life policy for $40 to $60 per month. That covers the highest need period of life, young children, a mortgage, peak earning years, at a cost that barely affects a monthly budget. Whole life insurance combines a death benefit with a savings component called cash value. A portion of your premium goes toward the insurance cost, and a portion is invested on your behalf by the insurance company, building up over time in the policy's cash value account. The appeal. Your beneficiaries always receive the death benefit regardless of when you die, not just within a term window, and you accumulate cash value you can borrow against or eventually surrender. The reality. The cash value in most whole life policies grows at an annual rate of 1 to 4%. Meanwhile, the premium for the same death benefit is 5 to 10 times higher than term life. A 35-year-old buying $1 million in whole life coverage might pay $500 to $700 per month in premiums. The same person buying $1 million in 20-year term pays $50 to $60 per month. The difference, $450 to $640 per month, is the opportunity cost. This is one of the oldest pieces of personal finance advice, and it remains accurate. Let's take that 35-year-old. Whole life premium, $600 per month. Term premium, $55 per month. Difference, $545 per month. Whole life scenario. After 20 years, the policy's cash value might be $75,000 to $100,000, depending on the policy. Buy term and invest the difference scenario. $545 per month invested in an S&P 500 index fund for 20 years at 10% average return equals approximately $415,000. Same death benefit protection, 4 times the wealth accumulation. The math is not close. In fairness, there are specific situations where whole life insurance serves a legitimate purpose. High net worth estate planning. For estates potentially subject to estate taxes, whole life provides a tax-advantaged death benefit that can fund the tax obligation without liquidating assets. Business continuation planning. Buy-sell agreements between business partners sometimes use permanent life insurance as the funding mechanism. Certain charitable giving strategies that use permanent life as the vehicle. Individuals with chronic health conditions who can't qualify for term life renewals. If you're not in one of these specific situations, the general purpose wealth building case for whole life insurance is very difficult to make against the alternative of term plus index fund investing. How much life insurance do you need? The general rule of thumb is 10 to 12 times your annual gross income. A household earning $80,000 should have $800,000 to $960,000 in coverage. This replaces your income for a decade or more while dependents adjust. Refine based on your situation. More if you have young children, a large mortgage, or a stay-at-home spouse. Less if you have substantial savings, no dependents, or a spouse with strong independent income. If you already own a whole life policy, don't cancel it rashly. The surrender process has tax implications, and you could lose money depending on when you're in the policy's life cycle. Review the policy's internal rate of return, current cash value, and surrender charges. Consult an independent, fee-only financial advisor who doesn't earn commissions on insurance products. In many cases, a 1035 exchange can convert the cash value into a more appropriate vehicle without immediate tax consequences. Quick reminder, everything in this video was educational only, not financial advice. This video was produced using AI-generated voices and visuals. Now, if this video helped you spot a mistake you might be making, or confirmed you're already on the right track, hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Subscribe to Compound Yield and Grow if you want a new investing or personal finance video every single week. No fluff, just the stuff that actually matters. Drop a comment below. Do you own term or whole life? And did this change how you think about it? Tell me in the comments. I read every comment, and I genuinely love to hear from you. The next video in this series is why most people's asset allocation is wrong for their age. We'll see you there.